Hey everyone, Psych Derek here. Welcome back to another continuation of items on my Discogs want list. This time around we're going to go in the 45 RPM route. And a lot of these are kind of like local 45s that I'm just hoping to find out in the wild, instead of having to splurge online. But, in the off chance that it happens, that it pops up, it's definitely something that's on my radar. I only have 10 45s here to talk about, just briefly. I've found clips or audio clips of all of them except for two, I think. And so we're just going to talk about them briefly. And some of these I've actually not even heard, and that's why I don't have an audio clip. But I'll tell the reasons why they're on here in the first place. But also to talk about, like I mentioned in my last video, I literally found one of those LPs that was on my want list for, well, I added it this year, but it's definitely something I've wanted for a long time, but just never thought, I just never imagined, seeing a copy, in the US, let alone Canada, which is where this record's from. And, sure enough, the next day, a copy pops up, and I'm just like, I'm on that thing. So I just happened to refresh my page on Discogs, and I found this copy. And he had an audio clip with it and everything. I'm going to show that first before I get to the stuff on my want list, the 45s. But anyways, I found this guy. He was selling this particular record and had audio clips of what it sounded like. And he graded it VG, but I just wanted to make sure, what he perceives as VG, And so I listened to it, and there's just a little bit of crackling in the, soft spots of the record, which there are quite a few, but it was nothing very irritating, something I could live with. And to me it sounded VG plus, and sure enough, this record, in my mind, is. It's a very nice, it's about pretty moderate VG plus grade, I would say. So I'm very stoked to share this copy with you, as you may have seen in the intro of this video. Picked up on a copy of the Medium. It's a band from Montreal. This is the original copy on Gamma, and there's no vinyl reissues of this as of now, 2020. Yeah, can't believe this is in my possession, honestly. So there's not a whole lot of backstory on this band, as far as like how they formed or anything I can find online. But before I get into the backstory all the way through, I just wanted to mention like the sounds within, of course. So it is kind of under the radar for a lot of, psych heads, and makes sense, because, there's only been one unauthorized CD reissue, and that's been it. So this album came out in 1969, and they're considered like one of the first progressive psych bands from the Montreal area, which is, kind of debatable. But yeah, there's really no info on the sleeve or anything about these guys. I imagine they toured a lot, in the area. But the thing about this album, though, I just love the sound of this. The tone of the organ that they use, even though it's a very corny sounding organ that they, persuade in the music on this. It sounds very much like Day Blindness, I would say, as far as the organ sound, and a little bit of the fuzz guitar in there as well. Just not as bluesy as Day Blindness. Maybe a touch of fluff in there as well, the Boss Town Band. And what was the other reference? Like kind of an early Soft Machine sound. And the Soft Machine reference to me, I would say, is because there are a lot of like soft vocal passages throughout. They kind of start out kind of soft, and they're very melodic and kind of easy to remember. And then just like a light switch, they just turn into all these like schizophrenia sounding zany freak out sections throughout almost every track, except for like one or two. So it's quite amazing, I think. And you can tell these guys rehearse these tracks like probably one song per week just to nail it, And at times, sometimes the percussionist of this band, he goes so fast that, he's trying to catch up sometimes, and you can almost tell he's losing it, So it just really shows you, back in the day, 50 years ago, that bands like this, they couldn't rely on, cut and paste, in Pro Tools or anything. They had to lay this down on tape and have some actual talent, and this band does. I really love side 2 of this record, like when it starts with, well, I mean, pretty much the whole thing, but In Between, Melon, and Stars, the last 3 tracks are just they're just great examples of what you're going to get into on this record. So if you guys want to check those tracks out. Otherwise, the only other piece of information I could find about this band that I thought was interesting, they actually participated and volunteered to doing a soundtrack to a Montreal counterculture kind of hippie film called Wow in 1969, and the whole film was up on YouTube. And throughout the whole film, there's a bunch of unreleased tracks by the Medium, and they provide the soundtrack, and there's some amazing psychedelic film sequences in that film as well, worth checking out. And then there's one point where I thought it was the band playing in the film, but I think it's just the actors miming to their songs. But it's still pretty cool to hear some unreleased tracks, and they're almost in some ways even better than what's on this album. So yeah, the Medium. This is some very zany, kind of out there, progressive psych is what I would consider it. Definitely don't sleep on this. This is one worth picking up. Show the label here. So yeah, I can finally cross this one off. I mean, this was something I never expected to own. Shot the label there. Quite clean copy too. There's a few records on Gamma, but I think this is the only psych-related record on that label. It's kind of a smaller label out of Montreal, so yeah, pick this one up. I'll probably play it in the background of this part of the video. Okay, and then on to the 45. So, like I said, don't have a whole lot of info to spill out to you, but these are just some of them. I'm also going to put, a clip if I can of what the 45 looks like last time. And so, no particular order really, but we're just going to go down the list I have here. So, and I definitely have more 45s on the want list, but this, like I said, I just picked 10. So this one I've not actually heard, but it sounds really intriguing just by the titles and the fact it's local. This is one out of Omaha, a band called Pilot. They have a 45 called For Your Children to See, with the B-side being Wake Up, Look Into Your Mind. Just enough to, right in the titles right there, it just kind of tells you what you're going to get into, maybe some Electric Prune sounding stuff. I'm thinking about popping on it soon and seeing what it sounds like, but there are some pricey copies up for sale, so maybe it is quite good. Just have not heard it yet. But the next one is one that I discovered in this book. Actually, a lot of these I discovered in this book, the Team Beat Mayhem. Pretty thick book of all these different garage and psych 45s. And a lot of them that were put on my want list are from this book that I've discovered in the last almost year I've had this book. This one probably tops the list for me as far as like one of the best discoveries from that book. And it's a band called The Hope with their 2 songs, Where Are You Going? And then the flip side, News Report 1972. And they're both on YouTube and definitely worth checking out, but I'll insert a clip here. Very much reminiscent of like a heavier sounding Electric Prunes and maybe a little bit of Salvation, that San Francisco band. A very heavy fuzz on both tracks, and can't ask for more. It's a brilliant single. Just both sides are killer.
News Report 1972.
Then the next band is The Paradox with their track There's a Flower Shop. It's kind of a sunshine pop, kind of bubblegummy vocal pop, reminiscent of like the Grassroots. And here's a clip of that one.
And it wouldn't hurt my conscience said, just give her a try. And it wouldn't hurt my conscience said, just give her a try.
This one I can't find a clip of, but they're a local band. The Impalas, with their 2 tracks, Without You Girl, and the B-side Mass Confusion. Don't know what it sounds like, but sounds pretty garage psyche to me. It's just something I'm looking forward to finding out in the wild. I think it is one that I discovered also in this book. So, and then one of the better ones I discovered in the book is the first track that you hear in my part 2 of my psychedelic collection video. The band called the CZECH, I don't know, with their song Reference Man, part 1 and 2. Part 2 is actually the full track, like a 6-minute long track. Just insanely good, phased out fuzz psych. It is just blistering stuff and worth a listen. And this band was also kind of semi-local, I guess you could say. I think they formed out of like Sioux City, Iowa. So it's, you know, kind of possible I could find the single, but very cool to know. What's his name? The guy that was in Zephyr, the band on ABC Probe, I think he was associated with this band as well, because he's from Sioux City. I can't think of his name right now. I'll probably put the title in here, but I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But this is what that track sounds like.
Help me, Mr. Man. Guide me, reference man. Advise me, Mr. Man. Help me on my way.
Then the next one, hopefully I can get the video clip of this one. This is Sharon Tandy, who was backed with Les Fleurs de Lis with their single Stay With Me, and the flip side, which is even better, Hold On. It's kind of like this hard rock. It's backed by a hard rock sound, but it's got a pop melody going for it. Nice vocals by Sharon. She's kind of got this kind of, you know, this kind of heavy voice. that was awkward, but yeah, very cool video clip of her on the Beat Club. And here's a clip of Then probably one of the top singles I'm trying to find in the Lincoln area is this band that was from Lincoln, and they were Sound Expedition with their song Ultimate Power, backed with Think Over It. And this was also comped on that CD compilation I showed probably a while back last year. And I found a few members on Facebook, but just never contacted them. I think it's on the Century label. It's just very insane fuzz guitar throughout and very garagey. They could barely play a note, you know, it sounds very out there, strung out kind of stuff, and something I'm just really dying to hope for finding out in the wild, like an antique shop or something. But it's a very sought after single, and here's a clip of what that sounds like. We have the Flower Power with their track You Make Me Fly, and then backed with Sunshine Day. You Make Me Fly is one of the better tracks by this band, and I wish this band made an LP. Pretty much all their singles are very laced in that perfect organ sound, you know, that garage Farfisa kind of sound, mixed with male and female harmonies, sort of in the vein of like The Art of Lovin' as a reference point. But yeah, the Flower Power, they had a crazy good catalog of singles out there, so that's just one of them. And here's a clip of what that sounds like. This is also a band that kind of sounds like they could have made an LP back in the day. The Good Humor Band with their tracks You'll Get By, backed with the awesome B-side The Man. Talking about the man knocking on your door, you know. Where's the stash at, man? But it's a crazy good track as well. Great fuzz break in the middle of it, and it's got a great organ sound driving the whole track. Very good. This is what that sounds like.
Although you try to find me, well, I'll be nowhere.
Just as much as Sound Expedition is on my want list, this is also probably one of the top 3 local singles I'm trying to find. You know, since the recording studio was only a half hour away, gotta talk about Renee Records here. And this is one of at least 2 garage singles on that label. And the top one is The Rogues with their song Comin' Home, and then backed by Rock and Roll Fever. Comin' Home is a just amazing organ driven, kind of mid-tempo sounding rhythm going to it, and just blazing fuzz guitar in the fuzz break, and just one that will stick in your head for a while after the fuzz kind of drains out of your eardrums. So this is what that track sounds like. So yeah, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Hope to find these down the road, you know. A lot of local rarities, but, you know, that's why I like compilations, but some of these singles don't end up being comped, and you hate to pay like $300 just for 2 songs on a piece of wax, you know. But that's why I kind of am seeking out these local scarce records as of now, so... Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys, and let me know what you think of this video. I'll probably go back to LPs, since I'm more of an LP guy, if I have the desire to continue this series. And I'm just very stoked to have picked this one up as well, the medium. I'm just very glad this landed in the right place at the right time. And definitely going to be playing this quite a bit. Hopefully there's a vinyl reissue sometime down the road. So I've been making a lot of sales on Instagram and a lot of cash in PayPal, and man, I'm just kind of looking for the next Grail to, you know, approach. Like I said, I'm keeping an eye on one of them right now, but there's so many Grails out there. What can we do? And this is one I've not discussed in the first video. I've not talked about this one. Surprisingly, wasn't on my Discogs want list specifically, but it was definitely one, you know, trying to seek out, but it's always, you know, in the 200 range. So we'll see what happens. So thanks once again, guys, and take care, stay safe, and we shall see you soon.